realized my girlfriend had 3 boyfriends was when the second phone lit up in my hand and a text from Derek said, "I'm outside." Nina was still holding a grocery bag when all the color drained from her face. Then the screen lit up again. Different name, Jason. Sunday, still on. Miss you. That was the moment my whole life rearranged itself in my head. Not just cheating, not just one other guy, 3 men, 1 schedule, 1 house, 1 stupid version of trust. I had been living inside, and the worst part, I'd been warning myself for months. We lived together in a quiet suburban house outside Portland. Beige walls, dark gray couch, white mug on the coffee table, the kind of place that makes you think stability is real. Nina was warm when she wanted to be, funny in a dry way, and just guarded enough to make patience feel romantic. I was 35, tired of drama, and proud of being the kind of guy who never checked a phone. She told me her last relationship made her protective of her space. I believed her. At first, the strange things were small enough to dismiss. She started angling her phone away when I walked into the kitchen. She took it into the bathroom, even if she was only brushing her teeth. Some nights, she would smile at the screen beside me, then flatten her face before I fully turned my head. Then I found the second charging cable behind the standing lamp in the living room. It was not ours, and it was definitely not where she charged the phone I knew about. When I asked, she took it from my hand, said it was old, and dropped it into the TV stand drawer, like she had practiced that move. That should have been enough for a real conversation. Instead, I swallowed it because I did not want to sound insecure. Nina never got loud when I questioned anything. She got calm, and somehow that always made me feel like I was the problem. After that, I started noticing Thursday nights always belonged to someone who was not me. Yoga, team dinners, long drives to clear her head. The reason changed, but Thursday stayed booked. Sundays were family days that never came with leftovers, stories, or photos. When she was home with me, she knew exactly how much affection to give me to keep me settled. Enough to feel chosen. Never enough to feel close. One Saturday morning, I was cooking eggs when her phone buzzed 3 times, and Nina lunged for it fast enough that I actually turned around. She laughed and said her friend Maya was spiraling again. An hour later, I caught the lock screen reflected in the black TV. It was a man's face in the contact photo. I only saw the first letter of the name, but that was enough to stay with me. That night, I asked if she knew a Derek. She kept folding laundry and said, "From work. Kind of annoying." Why? I said no reason, but from that point on, the whole house felt louder. A week later, the system at work crashed, and they sent us home early. Nina thought I was helping my brother move boxes that afternoon. Her car was in the driveway, and she was in the shower when I walked in. Then I heard a vibration coming from the TV stand drawer, the same drawer where she had dropped that extra cable. I opened it and found a slim backup phone wrapped in a grocery receipt under a stack of takeout menus. The screen asked for a passcode. I entered our anniversary and it opened. 2 pinned threads sat at the top, Derek and Jason. Derek Derek was not some annoying coworker. He was the Thursday guy. Their messages were full of traffic lies, cafe photos, and plans built around when I thought she was somewhere else. One message from Nina said, "Thursday still works. Ryan thinks yoga is back-to-back this month." Another said, "Don't park in front this time. Last week scared me. Jason was different. Less chemistry, more maintenance. He sent her gas money, booked little weekend places, and believed the Sunday family excuse every single time." Then I found the note in her phone called Schedule. Inside, it was a list: Ryan, home and steady; Derek, Thursday and chemistry; Jason, Sunday and money. I read that note 3 times because I could not accept how cold it was. I was not her boyfriend in that moment. I was an assigned function. The shower turned off, and I put the phone back exactly where I found it. I kept the receipt in my pocket because I needed something physical from the real world. She came out with wet hair, smiled, and asked why I was home early. I told her the system crashed, and she said maybe we could order dinner, like nothing had happened. I almost admired how normal she could sound with a second life vibrating 5 feet away. I said sure, and then I waited. I watched her check the time twice and glance at the front window when headlights passed. Around 6:30, she said she needed a quick grocery pickup. She grabbed the regular phone, not the hidden one. That told me enough. The second she drove away, I took the backup phone out and sat on the couch with it in my lap. I did not even have to scroll. Derek had already texted. "Parking outside in 10. You sure he's gone?" My stomach dropped so hard I thought I might throw up. Lamp on. White mug on the table. Ordinary house. Ordinary Saturday. And I was sitting there holding proof that I was just a slot in her calendar. When Nina came back in with grocery bags, I set the second phone beside the mug and watched her stop dead. For a second, neither of us said anything. Then I asked, "How many?" She looked at the phone, not at me. I asked again. She said, "Ryan, please let me explain." Before she could build one, Derek texted again. "I'm outside." She took one step back, and that was when I knew the answer was worse than I wanted. Then the phone started ringing. Jason, video call. I laughed once, and it did not sound like me. Nina cried and kept saying she was confused, that it was not what it looked like, that she never meant to hurt me. I asked if Derek knew about Jason. She said nothing. I asked if Jason knew about me. Still nothing. Then came the soft knock at the door. Derek was standing on the porch in the rain holding a bottle of wine, and the second he saw my face, he knew. He looked past me, saw Nina crying in the hallway, and his shoulders dropped like somebody had cut the strings in them. Nobody yelled. That was the strangest part. Just 3 adults in one warm room, finally standing in the truth. Derek said, "I didn't know about him, and I believed him." I put the receipt beside the phone, set my house key on top of both, and told Nina not to say my name again. Then I packed a duffel bag and left while Jason called the secret phone one more time. I stayed at a motel that night with my clothes still damp from the rain and a paper cup of coffee I never touched. The next morning, I went back to the house while she was gone. The living room looked cleaner than it had the night before, like somebody had tried to wipe away the shape of what happened. The second phone was gone. The white mug was still there. So was a folded note on the coffee table. I picked the note up, then set it back down, unopened. I walked through the house, one room at a time. And in the bedroom closet, a section of hangers was already empty. Good. I sat on the same couch where I had ignored every warning sign and understood that the worst part was not the cheating, was knowing I had been living inside a role she assigned me. And the second I saw it clearly, I stopped belonging to it. When people hear a story like this, they usually ask the same question first. How did you not know? The honest answer is that I did know, just not all at once. Most betrayals do not arrive like thunder. They arrive like tiny corrections you keep making to protect the life you want. Another question people ask is whether I should have confronted her sooner. Maybe. But people like Nina survive on partial information and rushed emotion. If I had blown up at clue number 2, she would have turned it into my insecurity, and I probably would have apologized. What changed everything was seeing the full pattern instead of one isolated lie. That is what finally broke the spell for me. So if you are in something that feels off, stop arguing with your own nervous system. Pay attention to patterns, not performances. Anybody can cry when they get caught. Anybody can sound sincere for 30 seconds. Look at the repeated behavior, the timing, the secrecy, the way your questions somehow become your guilt. And do not confuse being calm with being honest, because some of the coldest manipulation I have ever seen came in a soft voice. Also, do not waste your dignity trying to win against someone who has already reduced you to a role. Once you see that you are being managed instead of loved, the conversation changes. I did not open Nina's note then, and I still have not. Some endings do not need one more explanation. They need distance. So tell me this, if you were me, would you have opened the note or left it on the table like I did? And if you caught the schedule before the confession, would you confront her, confront the other guy, or just walk?